Hi there, welcome to Shopcast number 11. This one is all about buttons, and I am excited because I love buttons, but first I'm going to show you my latest finished object, mittens. I just made these from some yarn in my stash. Sorry. The blue is embroidered on, and it's some cashmere that Francesca and Zoe gave us staff as Christmas presents last year. Isn't that amazing? And the cool thing I wanted to show you about these is I did something fancy. You know when you're knitting your mitts up or doing top down and then you put yarn on hold for the thumb and then you pick those up later? Well, the part where you're supposed to cast on stitches across the thumb gusset and close up that hole, if you don't close up the hole, it leaves your thumb free and then you can use your iPhone. So the funny thing is that iPhones, I don't know about other touch phones, but iPhones don't work unless they actually have skin contact. It's something amazing having to do with their technology. I don't know. But it doesn't work with mittens on. So now I can be walking around, I can be texting as I walk, because I'm kind of obnoxious like that sometimes. And then when I'm done, I stick my thumb back in and I'm warm and happy. And if I just hold my thumb like that, it's warm as if I didn't have a hole in my mittens. Best thing ever. Okay, on to buttons. So a little later on, I actually have a tour for you that I did on my iPhone when I went to Button Down in Gastown. So I'll just show you what the shop looks like in case you've never been there. We are huge Button fans. If you don't find something that you like in our stash, head down there. She's got an amazing selection of new, exotic, vintage, fabulous, plastic, wood, glass, ceramic, amazingness. And it's really fun. And they're always willing to help you too. So if you take your project with you, they've got these kind of neat semi-drawers that slide out so you can lay down your project, and then they'll help you choose a whole bunch of different buttons that could go with it as possibilities. It's amazing. Okay, buttons that we have. We have, starting at the bottom of the range actually, let's go that way. These are our natural collection. So these guys are made from woods and bones and horn. So if you're vegan, you might not be your favoriteest ones, but for the rest of us, you know, it's a good use of a whole animal. We're going to talk like that. And there's all sorts of shapes and colors and styles. So, and some of them, they have fancier stuff on one side. You can see that's got quilting. And then if you flip it over, if you just wanted a plainer button, the other side's quite plain and it's beautiful. So options for you. These are $1.50 each. So easy to put on a ton of buttons down the center of your cardigan just to make it look that much snazzier. Alright, next up, Francesca recently acquired a bunch of vintage buttons. These ones are mother of pearl, and they're cool. So some of them, let's see if I can get that flash and shimmer-ish. There you go. Okay, so the traditional mother of pearl pearliness going on. And again, these have interesting colors on both sides, so depending on what you're looking for, they come in different shapes too. All sorts of options. Most of them are the sew-through type, so they'll all either have 4 or 2 holes. There are a couple shanks that have a little hook underneath, looks like that you sew through. And there's, oh, kind of funky, it's got a triangle on it. If you are sewing this onto something that's quite thick, like say you've made a big giant bulky scarf, or you've done a coat weight thing that's kind of a little bit more than just your average sweater, and you actually need some space between the button and the fabric it's sewn to, something that you can do is leave your first couple stitches quite loose and then wrap what's called a shank around it. So you might do, like, go through each of the holes a few times. You could do something to space it, like put in a matchstick used to be the old one, if you have matches. Who has matches? But no. Skewers, drinking straws if they're smaller. But stick that in there just to give yourself a little bit of a brace between the garment and your button. Do all of your sewing, and then later on when you slide that out and it's all loose and wonky, pull it, take your yarn or your sewing thread and wrap it around the threads. It's called a shank. You can probably find videos on YouTube of this, and if not, I'll make one in a couple days. Okay, so those are $5 each, and they're awesome. And these ones are fabulous. We're actually really quite low on stock, but we are getting more. Joan Tayler is a local artist. She makes polymer clay buttons, and you can see the detail is spectacular. It's a really cool technique. Polymer clay is something that you can mold, and then you fire it in a hot oven, and it becomes a firm plastic. But some of the techniques that Joan uses, like this, are based in glassworking techniques from Italy. It's called millefiori, and if you see the flowers, let me get as close as I can. actually we can talk about the squares. So those squares would have started with making a snake that was probably purple, if that looks like the center color. So you make a purple snake, and then you roll out some of the next color, which is kind of like a light gold, wrap it around the snake, and then keep on making a giant snake covered in these other things. And then eventually you'll have this really long tube, and if you look at the end looks like that, but it's probably bigger. So when it starts, it's probably this big. So you make this, it's called a cane, and after you've made it, you actually roll it when you're rolling back and forth on your surface and thinning it out until it's a very small cane, and then you slice it and it becomes pieces like that. So actually each of those flower petals is its own cane that was then cut and placed together and sliced into a bigger flower cane. It's a cool technique. That one's got to be on YouTube somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, I used to do glass for fun, and it was pretty amazing. So we have a few different colors, mostly in the bright yellows with some really cool flowers, some turquoise and some reds. They are 12, and then the ginkgo leaves are 15. Totally worth it because the amount of time she spends on this is amazing. And we also have some of Joan's knitting needles. So she makes these really cool needles where she'll do the same technique and she'll apply those little pieces of cane to the top of a knitting needle and fire it, and then you've got a really cool decorative needle. They make awesome gifts. I don't know, gift giving season might be coming up pretty soon or something like that. But yeah, so it's an option for you. Speaking of gift giving season, if you are stranded and you're stuck on something that you're trying to get done last minute, hey, I have time for private lessons right now, so give me a shout. You can reach me at Christa@ChristaKnits.com, or go to ChristaKnits.com to learn more about my private lessons. We can meet in a cafe somewhere and get your knitting up to speed really soon, in time for, say, Christmas, maybe. Yeah. And I think that's it. The store's burbling along merrily. Be prepared that we are getting into our busy season, so you may need to wait for a little while. If you have a lot of winding to do, we might offer to do a bit of your winding, and then you can either leave it behind and we can take care of it when there's a quieter moment in the shop, or get some of them done now and then handle it the rest yourself when you get home. So just be prepared. That's sort of what you can expect when we get towards the crunch time here. I think that's it. Okay, I'm going to add that clip on about Button coming up. It is an amazing store. Go down and check it out, and yeah, come and visit us too. 3bagsfull.ca. We are here 7 days a week. You can find us on Facebook under 3bagsfull Canada. Find this on YouTube, 3bagsfull Canada there as well. Please leave me feedback. I love to get it. Thank you so much for those of you who gave me some feedback after episode 10. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad to hear that you're enjoying this. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, so this is the part where I discovered that my iPhone doesn't actually do a good job of recording audio if my thumb is over the microphone, so I will figure out how to take video and actually talk as we go. But this is the shop. She's got lots of beautiful, beautiful displays, and there's vintage things, and there's wonderful glass, and they are kind of laid out in all sorts of different ways. This is one of my favorite ones. These are the 10-cent button drawers, and my very favoriteest one is this one, which has all these leather and suede vintage buttons. And they're awesome because you can find lots of them that match colors of Cascade 220. All right, carrying on through the shop, we have more. We have giant buttons down on the floor, and up above that are all sorts of shiny ones. This area is sorted by color. It's pretty cool. Hopefully you're not getting nauseous by my amazing camera work here. Giant, enormous vintage buttons. And it's always fun, like she's got so many drawers and you are just always welcome to poke through. These ones are some vintage buttons from military uniforms, if you know anyone who's into that sort of thing. And some old metallic ones, some replicate, that's not the right word, reproduction enamel ones, some gorgeous new enamels, and shirt and tie and wood, and little plastic animals for doing all of your kids' things. Like, as you can tell, she's got a lot of buttons. There's definitely no lack of buttons in this store. Colleen's the owner, and she's a fabulous woman. She wasn't actually here this day, so I can't give you a shot of her on camera, but it's still cool. And there's the rhinestone collection. And it's amazing. And if you get there, actually I didn't shoot it, but under this desk is a hand-knitted giant enormous desk. It's cool. So there we go, 318 Homer Street. There's their phone number. There's Colleen's name. All right, it's a gorgeous store. You should go check it out.